and the Muriel Whiteside Charitable Trust.
I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
The University of Wisconsin-Superior unveiled its new strategic plan this week, and Chancellor Renee Wachter is here to tell us all about it.
The Minnesota Extension Service's Sustainable Development Partnership is helping strengthen the region's food systems.
And a unique housewarming registry will help furnish the new Steve O'Neill apartments when they are finished later this year.
These stories, the business news, and more coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and thanks for watching Almanac North. Denny, it may be mid-May on the calendar, but it sure does not feel like spring, and can't believe that Memorial Day is nipping at our heels here.
I keep hearing now warmer weather is on the way. Maybe, huh?
I
It'll
think
be nice.
so.
Need the sunshine.
I know. And we have some great, bright and brilliant guests tonight, so let's get started.
All right. Thank you very much, Julie, and welcome, everyone. On Saturday, the University of Wisconsin-Superior will hold its 118th commencement ceremony at the Markovich Wellness Center on campus. Now, more than 350 students are eligible for their degrees from UWS. It marks the end of a busy week for the university, which announced a strategic plan on Thursday. It's a new plan, and here to tell us more is Chancellor Renee Wachter from UWS. And Chancellor, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. Big weekend, graduation time on Saturday. How many different degrees would be offered, and about 350 getting diplomas?
356 to be exact. We've got a few associate's degrees. Most are bachelor's degrees, and then some of the master's programs, especially education, have some folks that are walking. And I think what's exciting is for some of us, it's the first chance to get to see some of our distance learning students. So it's not just those that have been on campus, but they're coming to campus as well and marching across the stage. So yeah, it's a big day.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the strategic planning that's been going on over at the university. The university is facing a $4.5 million budget shortfall in the coming years. How much did that play into the process as you were looking ahead?
Well, I'll tell you, every good business does planning and has a need for a strategic plan. Our last plan was in 2008. So really it was time to dust that thing off and take another look at what we were doing and where we were headed. We decided last year already in April, before any of the latest round of budget cuts happened, that it was time to revisit it. So we got a team together and got started already last April.
Can you unveil for us some of the highlights of the strategic plan? I understand there are basically 4 different categories you're looking at.
Yeah, it's rather ironic. The logo for the plan, actually, it's called Superior Visions 2020. A little bit of a play on words, looking into the future. But the logo has stars in it, and that was already developed all the way back in April. And when we were looking at what was the word that would tie together the 4 themes, it was STAR. So it's the student experience, it's partnerships, thriving partnerships, achieving excellence, investing in our talent on campus, and resource management. So,
well, let's take each one of those one at a time, starting with that student experience, and talk about some of the things that have been discussed in terms of enhancing that experience for students while they're on campus and preparing them to head out into the workforce.
We know that it's a very different environment than when we started in 2008, and especially the emphasis on getting students that are career ready and ready to walk out into the workforce. So we're preparing them, yes, for that life tomorrow, but really making sure they have those job skills. So looking at high impact practices like undergraduate research, things that are really going to prepare them not only for the future, but really going out today.
Can you tell us a little bit about what UWS is doing to attract students? After all, there's a lot of competition. We've got a lot of colleges here in the Twin Ports.
There is a lot of college, a lot of colleges in the Twin Ports. You know, some of the things that we're doing is really sort of changing up how we're contacting our students, even all the way down to changing the athletic conference. So you might have seen the press about us moving into the UMAC and out of the WIAC. In part, that's because we recognize that a lot of our students really are coming out from that 35 corridor down into the cities, and so we want to play those teams that are actually in that area, and we're really looking forward to our certain friends here on the other side of the bridge engaging in a little friendly competition.
I want to go back to those 4 key points and the thriving partnerships piece of it, because I understand that you actually changed the mission statement to include the words "and engages the community and region." And I want to talk about why that's so important for the university to really go out and make those connections with the community and with the businesses.
We believe that if we partner well, we all win. And so really making sure that we're out there having those conversations about how we can best serve the community and interact with it. We know, for instance, just from a sheer economic force, that we contribute over $41 million in terms of economic impact. But we want to broaden that and make sure that we're having conversations about workforce needs, about how we can enhance the cultural vitality and use the brain power and intellectual capability of our research institutes to address local problems.
Has there been a real concerted effort by the university to connect with the business and industry and the region's economic developers so that all of you folks are on the same path and aligned?
We have. In fact, they were critical to the development of the plan. You know, we had contacted folks at Apex, you know, Brian Hanson, our own development association, our chamber, brought together several of the businesses when the plan was in its early draft stages to sort of say, this is the direction that we're headed. What do you think? Do you think we're on the right track? And the feedback we got was really very heartening. They were very excited that the focus was there with partnering with the community.
How do education costs for students at UWS compare with say, the other colleges here in town?
I would say we are a good deal. For the level of the contact and the environment that they get, you know, we sort of like to joke that it's the public school price, but the private school experience because of the small class sizes, the intimate experience that they get on campus.
What kind of a student body would you have there in terms of numbers?
We have about 2,500 students on campus, and I will say we're looking to grow. We have got the program for you, so whether you're thinking about traditional programs or continuing education, we're looking to grow really all of the...
And many students choose to go to college online, do they not?
They do. In fact, that's one of our fast and growing areas is reaching those adult learners.
Chancellor, there was some news this week where almost 30 grounds and custodial workers received letters that their jobs perhaps could be compromised in the future. Do you see employee layoffs really being a big piece of the budget resolution as you move forward?
It's one potential piece, but it's certainly not the only piece. I mean, we're going through much the same process that UMD did, the program prioritization, where you're really looking at how do you right-size your operations according to your budget and do it strategically. And so really we're looking across the institution, all kinds of areas, both academic and non-academic, to see what makes sense.
UWS Chancellor Renee Wachter, thank you very much. All the best at graduation Saturday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
You bet.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
Bob Smith, a charter fisherman, was busy getting his lines ready this afternoon because he says he'll be fishing on the big lake tomorrow, snow or not.
It's all right, maybe for the seagulls, if they can take it. It's pretty cold.
Maybe it's just that people from this part of the country are used to cold in May. Maybe that's why they're able to smile through the sub-zero wind chill. Joel Johnson at Lakehead Boat Basin was busy working on a sailboat just put in the water this morning.
If we get 2 70-degree days in a row, we'll be just a madhouse down here. I know it's just fortunately there's only one 70-degree day and then 30 degrees again, so we only get 2 people at a time ready to go now.
Summer is supposed to be officially kicked off in Duluth this weekend, and although many people are calling the Visitors Bureau to check on the weather, they're not canceling their hotel reservations.
Well, a lot of people are calling on the toll-free and wonder if they should bring their skis, and we don't know what to tell them.
So, will we be sailing or skiing tomorrow? Your guess is as good as mine, because springtime in the Northland is always full of surprises. Lisa Moloski, KDLH News.
Over the past few years, the sustainable food movement has picked up many local converts. Part of the credit goes to the University of Minnesota's Northeast Minnesota Sustainable Development Partnership. Tonight, we've got updates on agriculture projects at Wolf Ridge on the North Shore and at UMD. Joining us is Okey Ukaga, Executive Director of the Sustainable Development Partnership. David Abazs is the Wolf Ridge Organic Farm Manager, and Randy Hanson is coordinator and founder of UMD's Sustainable Agriculture Project. Thanks to all of you for coming in tonight. Okay, the Sustainable Development Partnership is putting a lot of effort into the region's food systems right now. Why is that?
Well, food is we look, the university first of all tries to partner and support and facilitate work, trying to utilize our resources to meet community identified needs, and food is a major pillar of that. Food and agriculture, when you look at the infrastructure system we have water issues, we have energy issues, we have food issues, and we have infrastructure. So food rises up there, so we have to invest in it.
And how is the region doing in terms of developing a sustainable local food system, in your opinion?
The region is actually doing quite well. A lot of people don't think of us. They think we are just forestry and mining,
That's not the case.
That's not the case. There's a lot of food work going around in this area.
David, you're working to help the Wolf Ridge Center develop gardening up there.
Yeah.
How far along are you, and what do you hope to accomplish with this?
Well, the goal of the Wolf Ridge Organic Farm is to provide all the vegetables and produce and eggs for all the students that come to the Environmental Learning Center each week. So we're looking at 350 kids per week. Altogether, over 140,000 meals. So we've designed the farm to meet the needs of all of that consumption at the facility.
Where are you along that stage right now? Are you already using? Did you use some last year?
We put our first food on the plate last fall, and we've got stuff growing in the ground right now. We planted at the end of March. It's been a cold spring.
But you're hopeful.
It's still sweet, and I think within the next 2 weeks we'll get our first beginning harvest.
Sure.
And it is an environmental learning center. Is there an educational component too, where you
Yep.
have the folks who are coming up there to
Very
learn?
much. We just got a grant from Lloyd K. Johnson to put together educational all-day class. And so they'll be learning about soils, plants, and then at the end of their morning they're going to harvest the vegetables and then cook their own pizzas in the pizza oven we're building this summer at the facility with North House Folk School's timber frame and pizza oven. So it's a very exciting time to mix both the raw ingredient of food and good, healthy local food with education. So it's a great combination for Wolf Ridge.
And speaking of education and good healthy food, the UMD project is going to. Explain what you've been doing in terms of sustainable agriculture.
Well, we started with the help of the partnerships, something called the Sustainable Agriculture Project, which utilizes the former experimental station north of campus to create a 10-acre organic farm that we use for experiential education, for creating research projects with faculty, as well as community engagement opportunities with the school district, with the Duluth Community Garden Program, with beekeepers and so forth. And so it's about reintroducing students in the manner that David talks about to the reality of food as not just the important sort of intimate commodity, but also as an economic engine for our region that is increasingly important for all sorts of reasons.
So Randy, is that farm back in operation now, or will it be soon?
No, we began the project in 2010. And so the farm used to be a sort of 240-acre large system.
Right.
And we don't have those resources anymore. And so what we're doing is creating through the College of Liberal Arts a collaborative experiential education organic farm that integrates community, faculty, students, and again, much like what David is saying, we have students growing the produce, and then all of that produce is in turn used in the dining services. And so the research component there is also how do we transform a institutional food system like UMD slowly to begin to be able to procure from local farmers, and then UMD becoming the anchor institution that helps drive the broader
That really
food
was
economy.
quite the farm. Longtime Duluthians will remember that up on the Gene Duluth Road, I believe.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah.
I should mention that, you know, Randy has done a fantastic job of envisioning what to do with that farm and then pushing it forward. And actually this year, won an award from UMD on sustainability, in large part because of his work on that farm.
Talk about the partnership's role in projects like this. What do you bring to the table, so to speak? Are you bringing funds? Are you bringing technical support? How does it all work together?
All of the above. What we do primarily is we bring the university connection. And once you bring the university, you bring research, you bring outreach, we bring students, faculty, the centers, you know, all across the board. So we also do facilitation. So we help people do this analysis, think through what they're trying to do, figure out what works and what would not work. We have money, but we don't present ourselves as a grant-making entity. We see the money as kind of the gas money, the money we put in there to get the work going. So we provide all of the above, and then we make the connections. You know, all the projects you see around here, you know, the partnership has been involved on the ground level at the beginning. You know, when people maybe feel it's risky to invest, and once we invest and it takes up, then we go on and invest in other places.
What has happened to develop all of this? It seems like maybe 25 years ago, this would never have been a discussion. What's happened in our society today to bring this on?
Well, there's a big movement going on around the country, whether it's farm to school, but the reality is we can grow all our food here, and the economics is almost $1 billion per year through the research that can be brought back into our communities. And so there's a resurgence, there's an excitement, there's the realization of our health and diabetes and obesity. All those issues pulled together make this a really important issue that has basically, it's sprung up.
And the other piece of that I can say is also that, you know, how are we going to create sustainable systems? And food is such an anchor for that. And it's really, you know, we have energy, we have water, we have food systems, we have our housing and transportation, and food is a real sort of low-hanging fruit in that challenge of creating more sustainable systems all around us. And so we see a lot of activity in the community and the university.
More and more families are getting involved in organic food, perhaps. Restaurants, certainly.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there a value, too, in just reconnecting people to their food supply? It seems like we're kind of removed from it. We go to the grocery store and everything is so nicely packaged for us, but getting back to the earth.
Absolutely. You know, if you're not connected, you don't feel the response. It's almost like light when you flip it up, on and off, and you don't know where it's coming from. So then you have a lot of waste and you have a lot of misuse, and we don't think about what comes before the food. That's why all of us are using the word system, food system, from production to processing to distribution to consumption to what happens after you consume, the sink where your waste goes, and the source from where you get it. So we need to begin to rethink. And by rethinking, it will make us wiser consumers, it will build our economy, it will enhance our community, and it will allow us to be more sustainable in all aspects.
A lot of good information to think about. Thank you for coming in and sharing it.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A new apartment complex going up in Duluth's Central Hillside neighborhood promises to be a major step in preventing chronic homelessness for families. Named in honor of Steve O'Neill, a tireless advocate for Duluth's most vulnerable families, the apartments will provide 44 units of permanent housing and 6 units of emergency shelter. A unique campaign to furnish the apartments so they are ready for formerly homeless families will soon begin. And here to tell us more is Lee Stuart, Executive Director of CHUM, which will operate the emergency family shelter in the new building. And thanks for being here, Lee.
Thanks, Julie.
Always good to have you. Lee, tell us about the housewarming registry and how this idea kind of got started.
Well, CHUM had a big project to be the service provider and run the shelter. Right. And so we launched a capital campaign about a year ago, and I came to start with the construction. And then phase 2 has to do with the furniture. So a little while ago I said, well, how the heck are you supposed to do that? We've got 50 apartments that we need to furnish. What would we do? And somehow just the idea of a registry came to mind. And I thought, you know, because a lot of people call and say, how can we help? How can we help? And we wanted to have something that people could participate in from the $1 to the $25,000 or multiples thereof.
So Lee, this is really a way to kind of involve the community.
Involve the community and have people participate. They'll make a contribution. That'll go towards furnishing the apartments. They can pick beds. I mean, I was talking to some people from Holy Rosary today. They want to give $2,000 to buy the wood that the Friends Meeting and the Duluth Woodworking Club are going to make into 70 beds or so, handmade beds. Wow. So, you know, so everybody can come together. Yeah. And I do look at it like a gift for 50 members of our family. We don't know who those people are yet, but they're parts of our family, and we want to welcome them and give, particularly the children, a really great start.
Lee, when do the apartments expect to open?
Well, the original deadline is towards the end of this year, and so I'm still operating that we can catch up for the construction delays over the winter and start people moving in December, January, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So the registry, is it actually raising money for these items, or do you want people to drop off pots and pans and crock pots and all of these things that are needed?
This first part is a registry. We don't want people to drop things off. We don't have any place to store stuff for 50. So we're working with Target and Lull Designs and Happy Sleeper, who will make bulk purchases from them. And so it's just like you go on to, if your friend's getting married or you're having an anniversary or something, you could go on to a Target website and pick a present. We'll have that all set up, and people can pick whatever they want. So that's the page of the bedroom.
Do they go online to do this?
They'll go online to do it.
Do you have an address where they?
You can connect to it through the CHUM website. That'll be on the homepage of ours. You'll click through to the online store, the registry for the Steve O'Neill apartments, and check out just like you're buying anything over the web. So it's been fun to put it together and to work with the local vendors so that we can keep the money flowing around inside the community.
Steve O'Neill truly was a tireless advocate for homeless. Can you tell us a little bit about the need? When was it really decided that there's a need in this community that we need to help?
This project has been in the works at least 4 years. With the Great Recession and at CHUM, we began to see a lot more homeless families, jumping from maybe 40 a year to 75 a year, 80 a year. And so with that realization that families were becoming a larger portion, and many had been homeless as children or spent time, realized we were actually seeing the cycle of homelessness that we've been dreading. And so across the country, the idea of providing permanent supportive housing where people don't have to move after a couple of years, they can live there their entire lives and raise the children, that's the kind of stability that we need to give. So this project has been part of the city's comprehensive plan. It's been part of the neighborhood hillside neighborhood revitalization plans. One Roof Community Housing and Center City Housing are the developers. They've been working on it for 4 years. It has tremendous broad funding from the state, from the federal, from Duluth HRA, from the city. It's a huge community project.
And what are some of the supportive services that will be provided?
Well, CHUM will do that, and we're really going to focus on services for the children, so we'll make sure that and all the services are voluntary. So we'll make sure that there's early childhood screening. We'll make sure that kids are connected to school. They'll be able to have some basic health care. There'll be education. There'll be a toddler room. There'll be respite room. There'll be counseling. There'll be games. There'll be pretty much anything that you need to restore a connection between kids and their parents,
Yep.
and then across between the families.
This will be home for them.
It's going to be home, and we're going to build it as a community. It's not just going to be 44 isolated tenants.
Yeah.
We're going to work on a lot of building a community within that building, so we can all grow together.
And hopefully the community at large will get behind this effort to furnish those apartments.
So far, the phone has been ringing off the hook, and I really like that.
Good to
so
hear.
All right.
We've had a number of wonderfully generous things happen already. So Tuesday night, it'll go live. We'll be at Sacred Heart at 6 o'clock, and that'll be the launch, part of our spring assembly.
Okay, Lee Stuart
Thanks.
from CHUM, thanks so much.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's turn now to the week's business news from Business North. Despite a higher than expected cost, construction will begin this year on the Duluth Transit Authority's downtown multimodal center. DTA board members gave their blessing Wednesday to the guaranteed maximum price of just over $27 million offered by Mortensen Construction. A year ago, they were expecting the price to be $25 million. DTA General Manager Dennis Jensen said his administrators examined every detail of the project. He told the board, if this is the project we want, this is the price we're going to have to pay. And he warned the cost would continue to climb if a decision was delayed.
Elite officials put a heavy emphasis on renewable energy Tuesday at the corporation's annual meeting. CEO Al Hodnick rededicated Minnesota Power's Thompson Hydro generation system, which was heavily damaged by flooding in 2012. Hodnick said other hydropower stations within the company's system have also been refurbished. Combined with wind generators in Minnesota and North Dakota, the utility will meet a standard of producing 25% of its energy through renewables 11 years ahead of a state deadline.
Charter Next Films in Superior was recognized Tuesday as part of the 2013 NASA Agency Honor Awards. The Silver Achievement Medal was presented to Charter to recognize the production of exceptional quality film for the NASA balloon program. NASA and Charter Next Films have been working together since 1999. Only a very select group of Silver Achievement Medals are presented each year, according to NASA officials. For more on the local economy, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment, now is the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. You can also visit the WDSE website for program schedules, updates on your favorite PBS shows, and news about the station. And Denny, we've been doing a little bit of grousing, but I think the weekend's going to be nice and it might be a good time to put the dock in.
I have a feeling a lot of docks will be going into lakes this weekend.
I think you're right. For Denny and the crew here at WDSE, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend.